Howdy, everyone. Tad Stevens on the Micro Success Secrets podcast, where we focus on business, psychology, and marketing and how you can use those in your business daily and long term. Today, I'm talking with Frank Agin, who is president of Spirit Business Connection, an organization that empowers entrepreneurs, sales representatives, and professionals to become successful through networking. He's also the host of the Networking RX podcast, a weekly short form podcast with insights and interviews related to better business relationships. And he narrates the Networking RX Minute, a micro podcast with daily ideas and inspiration. He's author of several books, including Foundational Networking, Creating Know, Like, and Trust for a Lifetime of Extraordinary Success. Sorry about that. Frank, how are you doing? Take a minute to introduce yourself. Anything I might have missed?
No, I think that was great. You do a wonderful job. I appreciate being here. Appreciate you having me. I'm looking forward to our conversation.
All right, super. Well, let's just jump in. Well, the first things I always ask, and because it generates a lot of discussion, or I think it's a great question, is if you had one thing in your life or your business or both that you could change, would you change it? And if you would change it, what would you change it to?
Wow, that's a good question. Well, I guess if I could change it, I'd like to have more time in the day. That would be one.
I don't know if that's an option, but it's okay. It's an answer.
Yeah, no, if I could change it, what I would like to be able to do is have a better sense as to the true intent of people that I talk with, because LinkedIn's a wonderful thing. It really is. I mean, I think that's how you and I found each other.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a wonderful thing. But we have to remember that when we're on LinkedIn, people are putting forth what they have on their LinkedIn profile is not something that some independent agency has
vetted.
Vetted, right? It's them. And so you end up from time to time wasting time with people who are really not what they say they are. And I don't really care that somebody doesn't necessarily have the pedigree or the experience. But getting on the call with somebody where it's really one-sided. I love having conversations with really anybody at any level, just really learning about them. And if they're struggling, so be it. Let me try and help. If they're doing great and they're really doing great, that's okay too. But when you have people who get on and all they want to do is just talk about them, and then really have no interest in you, it's just really kind of a lead up to a pitch. Geez, if I knew that on the front end, I would probably save 20% of the calls every week. And so if I could change that, I would change that.
Okay. Well, no, it's fair enough. And that is unfortunately what I tell people is, because I run into the same thing, various variations of that. But yeah, you have to weed through, or I have come to the belief, the mantra I tell myself is I have to weed through all those to get to the ones that are a fit, that are going to build something on the end. That's, but I totally agree. LinkedIn is, it's a great place, but
yeah,
it's iffy at times.
Yeah.
Along those lines, kind of, is there one thing in your business career, your life, your business, your podcast, even, that is super positive, that you just, something happened, an epiphany, an event, something, and it's one of those things where you look at it and you say, oh, I relate everything before this event and after this event, because it's that profound. Is there any one thing that you could relate, that you remember, or that happened?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, having a podcast is great, but interviewing people, getting people on there and really kind of digging into what they're about was a game changer for me, because it gave me an opportunity to really get to know people. And that's what it's about. It's building relationships and getting people to know you, like you, and trust you. And that allowed me to kind of, bring people in and really be interested in them. And then from there, be able to connect them to other people. And I tell people, Tad, it has opened doors I didn't know existed. So it's been a game changer.
So it's one of those times. Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Um, and this is kind of changing gears a little bit, but I bring it up because it seems like, well, all business people run into this, or at least all the ones I know. Um, and most people run into it as well. And it can be something as simple as writer's block. And I don't mean to belittle writer's block, because that's one of the big ones for me, but it can be also something as complex as a new business venture. And it's what I'm getting at is when you get to that point and you get stuck, do you have any tips, techniques that you use to move past getting stuck? And it can be, like I said, it can be anything. It can be writer's block. It can be a new business venture, whatever fits for you. Do you have anything that you can share on that?
Yeah,
What you do?
yeah. Well, I think it's all related, because writer's block in many cases is just a point of exhaustion. I do a lot of writing on my micro podcast. I'm releasing something every day. Now we're
Mm-hmm.
well ahead of ourselves, but I have to come up with 30 things every month. And
Right.
there are times I'm more effective than I'm not. And there are times where I've just been exhausted and just said, you know what, I'm done doing this. I'm just done doing it. Um, but for me, it can be any number of things. Mowing the yard. This is my office. I'm at my office.
Uh-huh.
It's a house converted to office space. I own the place next door. It was just kind of how things fell together. I had the opportunity. Someday somebody will buy it and tear the junky houses down and put up a nice building. But I have 2 yards to mow, and people are like, why don't you just hire somebody to do that? And I'm like, I don't want to do that, because I really enjoy getting on that riding mower. The phone's not ringing. The email's not chiming at me. It's just,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
it's totally white noise. And I find that is such a great reset for me. And it doesn't have to, you don't need to buy a yard, you need a mower, but just go for a walk. Anything you can do to kind of do something mindless. And there are studies that have shown that you can, you kind of, it is literally rebooting your brain, just to kind of back up and say, okay, I'm not even working the problem, but the subconscious part of your mind is working whatever the problem is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's for writing, same sort of thing. It's like things get kind of knotted up. It's kind of like when you're trying to work out a knot, you got to kind of loosen everything. Well, that for me, mowing or raking or painting or doing something that's mindless, it just kind of loosens up that knot. And then all of a sudden you come back and it's like, oh my God, it's totally right there. The problem wasn't not solvable. It's just, I wasn't coming at it from the right point of view.
Mm-hmm. And that is, I do something similar. We're in Colorado, and we're on the side of a hill, so we don't have a yard, so to speak,
Right.
that we could mow. But changing my physical, visual environment for me. And I think that's similar to what you're talking about. And if I'll do that, a lot of times things just pop.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I totally agree with that. Really helpful for me as well. And so to roll back to the first, or related to the first part of when we started talking about all this, is if you had to, and you wanted to go where you are now, you want to end up where you are now, or someplace else, if you had to start from scratch, what would you do? What would be one of the first things, or the things that you would do?
Well, the first thing I would do would stop worrying about making the sale and start just focusing on the relationship. Because when you have relationships,
Okay.
the sales will come.
Yeah.
When you help other people, you just kind of get on their radar, and they don't even know you're on their radar. It's all very subconscious. But you do something for somebody, make an introduction, you're on their radar, and they're going to try and find a way to help you. And so to really kind of focus in on, okay, there's truly something to this networking. And I think we all Well, we all go to college. We go to college to be smart, right? We want to do well and take the right classes and do
Get
well.
the right job. And yeah.
Right. It's all about, hey, what I know. I got a law degree. I have an MBA. I thought, this is great. I get a CPA. Who's not going to want to hire me?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I look back and it's like I should have spent more time and energy on should have spent more time and energy on the whole notion of just building relationships. And the people who partied a little more and studied a little less were probably a little better off than I thought they were. So,
I never thought about it that way, but one of my roommates in college, we always, we went for the grades. We studied hard, and we really were dedicated. I mean, focused on what we were doing. And he would always come out after a marathon study session and say, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And I was just, no. It's what you know. It
yeah,
turns out he was more right than I thought he was.
yeah, yeah. Well, we can't see it when we're that age.
Oh no, I didn't. I didn't at all. I mean, it took me literally a decade before
Yeah.
I realized how important relationships are compared to just facts and what you know.
Yeah.
Super, Frank. Really appreciate your time today. And this is great. Really helpful. Is there anything that you want to comment on, close with, or that you have to offer that listeners might be able to take you up on?
Yeah, I mean, if people are struggling with professional relationships in any way, shape, or form, reach out to me. Best place to get a hold of me is through my website, frankagin.com. There's lots of ways to communicate with me. Some people prefer LinkedIn or Facebook Messenger or email. It's all there. But you can kind of see all the things that I do. But I'm happy to try and help anybody with anything. And along those same lines, we'll share about our franchise opportunity and what we're doing to help small businesses grow through Spirit Business Connections.
Okay, super. And I'll make sure that all those links are in the show notes and in the description of anywhere we post this.
Okay.
Again, really thank you for your time. Thanks to all the listeners for their time, taking time to listen to our podcast. Have a very productive week and be the very best at whatever you are. Until next time, this is Tad Stevens, Micro Success Secrets. Bye for now.